Welcome everyone to the Bowser vs. Peach Tour. The latest rally tour in Mario Kart Tour is upon us. So, I already shared with you folks, I'm going to be choosing Team Bowser, but what kind of surprises await us and what team are you choosing? Let me know in the comments below. We're just going to download the new app and see what Koopa Cape has to offer us, right? Like, what will the top shelf distribution of items look like? What about this question block Mii Racing Suit, the second coin boxer that's being brought in? How will we see that presented to us? Will it be a ranked reward or will it be in the Mii shop or something else entirely? So here we go. Very nice. Although those are reused images for the most part. We've seen it all when it comes to the rally tours. But they keep juicing it up. We know from the preview that we saw in the last tour that there's going to be a second gold pipe in the token shop. So it's essentially going to be getting 2 all clear pipes in this tour. So here we go. We're split up into 2 teams. And here we go. I'm going to pick Bowser. So first time joining the villain squad. That's because the Kongs up until this point have been mostly on the hero side, right? We had Mario, we had Toad and whatnot. So here we go. Joining the dark side. And we have a message from the Mario Kart Tour team. Is this going to be about the glitch? The top portion of the screen. So let's put it this way, folks. I hope that the glitch in the token shop pipes doesn't become like the headache the record setter has been for them. How many times have they addressed this and then walked it back because it still had issues? My goodness. So they even admit here that continuing to monitor it to make sure that it's entirely fixed. But no mention at all on the token shop pipe Ruby's glitch, in which case if you missed it, I'll put a card up above. And through discussion with some members who were personally affected by this glitch, I learned that the difference in my execution of the glitch and theirs was that for them it was a 500 token pipe. So there must be some kind of a discrepancy between what is recorded locally to the player's account and what is stored information on the server, and some kind of a clash there likely results in being locked out of the tour. Perhaps it's some kind of a mechanism that could prevent players from manipulating their accounts from outside means, but it's a failure on some level internally from Mario Kart Tour. That's entirely speculation. We don't know for sure, but that's our best guess at the current moment. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at the Dr. Fest, right? We're finally finishing up with this kind of an odd theme to pair along with the tropical breeze thing that they're going with, right? Because we had Coconut Mall and now we have Koopa Cape. But I suppose, this is a great time of year to start focusing on, our own individual health, the health of our family members, right? So certainly it's been inspiring to see all the posts that have been put out through the Kart Life servers initiative on healthy living. Fantastic stuff. So we support that entirely. Now, here's the rewards that we were talking about, right? So we have 4 high ends along with that extra gold pipe. All this, we've seen this before, so nothing new there. So let's start here. Coins aplenty will be on the usual day. We have the Bumblebee in the Gold Pass gifts there, and along with that, they're also giving an additional Peach and Bowser. Normals for the free-to-play gifts, which is standard. I see that we have the question block Mii there. We'll get to that in a moment. So the first course of every cup will have a boost for the Mii Racing Suits because we still have the Mii shop in effect, and every course of the Mii Cup. So therein lies the way how the buffs are applied to these Mii characters, right? And that's just a single shelf buff, right? So the only time that all of the Miis will be top shelf, every single one of them on a single track will be for specifically the Mii Cup, because the Mii Cup is +1, and then the first track in that cup is another +1, right? So everything that was on the bottom shelf would then move to the middle shelf and then top shelf. Otherwise, except in that one singular instance, then it all depends upon that middle shelf, which we track, folks, in the Mii Hour, the latest installment. This one's really, really spicy. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Will be taking place in the middle of this reaction. But first, we want to process all the other latest information, and then we launch into all the data and the fun stuff that we have. So, check this in-game notification. So, okay, so by clicking on this, then we're going to receive updates on everything that has to do with this tour, and I would imagine also that's where they'll post the score. Okay, so Berto Mii Racing Suit now in the Mii Racing Suit shop. So there you go. These ranked rewards aren't being locked up, and that's something that we were out in front with on the Mii Hour. The very beginning when that Rosalina Mii suit came out, and it's like there was so much FOMO. I must obtain this now. It's like, hold up a minute there, folks. It's like these things, they are not going to deny the players below tier 50. Many of them, they want to be spending players, right? And in order to do that, you have to be able to sell that through the virtual currency that exists within the game, right? Which is rubies. So lo and behold, they've been trickling out through the Mii shop and still applying that 30% off discount too, which is very nice on the part of the developers. Although, you know, when we went through the Mii Hour last tour and I shared the conversion factor for coins per ruby, I mean, it's really eye-popping just how inefficient it is to purchase a single Mii suit for 100 rubies, let alone 70. 70 is still, but look, if you're obtaining exclusive access, then, you know, that is something. But, you know, the value of these things, we're going to go into it even deeper than ever before, and you will, you know, have added understanding and context when it comes to all this. So here we go. Wow. They're doing the ranked rewards again for this. Okay, so it's not necessarily everyone wins here, right? Everybody gets a trophy. This is, you have to perform in order to get the question block Mii Racing Suit, and I kind of like that. I mean, we've been sandbagging now for over a month, so it'll be interesting to see what does my ranked mode look like. I probably have a decent chance of that, but it depends upon the loadout. So by no means is that a guarantee of anything, because if the loadouts are not good, then it doesn't matter how much fertility we've placed into our ranked terrain to make any kind of progress there. But very interesting to see that. And remember, if you're not above tier 50, or if you haven't been tilling the ground of your ranked placement lately, and you somehow miss out on this question block Mii Racing Suit, you're not going to miss out on the coin box. It will be presented in the Mii shop, just like the Berto, just like the King Boo, just like the Rosalina, right? Okay, so just be patient for it, okay? Yeah, and this is all the regular stuff. I would imagine they would give us better notification on all of that. So let's go into the week 1 pipe. What are we going to be taking a look at here? Well, we have the pink capsule cart and the yellow-green capsule cart. They can't find a word. Oh boy, the creativity might be hitting rock bottom on that one. The green-yellow capsule cart. Okay. Anyway, I have to say, the color on that does look kind of cool, though. I mean, it's just, you can't come up with, like, the goldenrod or something, capsule cart. That sounds a lot better, certainly. Anyway, there's the whole set of new items. So all 6 spotlights are brand new. Will that affect the value? Potentially. But Mario Kart Tour, Nintendo's been doing a lot of unprecedented things, so I'm not just going to say, oh, since there's 6 new items in this pipe, they're all going to be garbage. No, these could present some value, but I wouldn't say there's a great likelihood in the long term of, all of these, or even some of them, for that matter, possessing kind of superstar-like qualities, right? We have to see where things are at, because certainly, if we take a look at the Dr. Peach, who has the capsule skill here, she's competing with Peach Yukata, right? And that was a much more exclusive pipe because she was paired with Daisy Yukata, who's an old driver who's been in many different pipes before, and that Peach Yukata was really the prize of that, right? And there was a lot of heavy hitting pipes at that time too, so very few people had enough rubies to go into that. So if we're looking at the intrinsic value comparison of, you know, Dr. Peach to that one, well, certainly it goes with Yukata in that case, but you know, it's not a foregone conclusion, right? Anything can still happen, but it's just, you know, the trends greatly point the needle in that other direction. Taking a look at the starting value, it's sensational though. We see 10 courses and it's all assumed value. So this is really top of the mark for what we've seen since the update with level 8 anyway, okay? There was top shelf 10 before the level 8 update, which would then be top shelf 11. So it's very close to top of the mark. And we see that she has access to a lot of these new courses, right? We have the Coconut Malls, we have multiple Koopa Capes in play here. We'll have to see if Koopa Cape R is in ranked mode or if they're reverting back to the old model. Part of me kind of hopes that they do revert back to the old model because so much focus on just new content really alienates a large section of players who are invested into things that are perhaps just a little bit older, right? So to have, you know, staggering generations of courses that have been brought in to ranked mode, I think is a bit more fair, even though, you know, they do some manipulation on those top shelves when it is all new courses in ranked mode. They do make it a little bit easier. Anyway, so her starting value looks right on point. So that's a great sign for things. Dr. Bowser now also has the capsule skill, so this is a little bit of a surprise. Well, we did see the render actually before this tour launched, and that kind of nixed any possibility of this Bowser character not having the capsule skill, given that they added that to his model. And same deal here, starts off with top shelf 10, so they both start off with more value than did Dr. Mario and Dr. Luigi. Slight edge to them, but then, you know, we'll have to see how that mid to late term value goes, right? Because that's where we see a lot of the major differences apply. You know, by and large, these items, when they first come into the game, they all have a very similar trajectory until, you know, that mid to late point stage, and then that's where we see, you know, things carry on. Is the case with Cat Toad, you know, Donkey Kong Jr., Yoshi Kangaroo, versus, you know, some other ones that tend to fall into obscurity. So that's the story for the drivers. Great starting value. We'll see where it ends up, you know. Now, taking a look at the pink capsule cart. Jump Boost Plus, I mean, I suppose they're all going to be different skills, right? And top shelf 8 to start. So this has been standard recently, but it's definitely on the low side. It's just about as low as you can go. And then if we take a look at the green yellow, this one has an additional track of value. So this one has 9. I think this one looks cooler. The name is just kind of hilarious because literally 2 colors separated by a hyphen there. Pink magnifying glass, another green shell plus glider. And the starting value is pretty paltry once again. So we have the 8 tracks. There's been a lot of green shell gliders, so these aren't all going to be hits, right? We had, you know, Luigi's mustache. We had the green sprouts. Shout out to the green sprout gang out there doing a lot of nice analytical approach to charting the value on that specific item. I love to see it, right? I love to see people really put the love and attention into their favorite things. And now we have this one, right? So there's a lot of competition as far as that goes. Definitely the green shell skill for a glider is one of the worst, if not the worst. But the skill matters very little. If we're talking about track composition, then that is what matters most significantly when it comes to the value of these things. So really don't pay any attention to that skill. Pay attention to, you know, what arrives here in the following tours, okay? Taking a look at the other one, red shell, that makes sense, right? We have the good side and the bad side. In this case, it's the red shell. Certainly if you're a multiplayer player, I guess that depends on your perspective if you're front running or if you're in second, just how you feel about those red shells, right? But Anyway, taking the villain line on this one. So here we go. Once again, the Bowser set starts off with one additional track. That's interesting. We'll have to see how that goes moving forward, right? If that means that these items will end up with just a bit more value, or if it could signal perhaps that some of the theme things, towards, the Peach side of things will have more track exposure in the coming tour or two, and then it will all even out in the long run, right? So, yeah, that's my take on it. Red Shell Plus, again, not an ideal special skill. I'd actually say the Red Shell is probably worse than the Green Shell. They're real close. There are some implications that would say that the Red Shell is a little bit better because you can't get it in first place, but there's a greater percentage then of obtaining it, in second through fifth place, which is also ideal for some of those like boomerang and coin box spots. So, there's a lot of drawbacks to that, but once again, the value is entirely with the tracks and finding the ways to optimize and utilize your tickets and forming a more complete combination of courses that you're able to obtain. The coverage optimizer tool, which we've been running requests for, will be made available at some point during this tour. We're very excited to launch that so you can get access to that program for yourself and go headfirst into all the data that can not only just help your account, but just general understanding of the game itself, right? That's how I make the most use of it. So anyway, let's see what we have for the packs here. They usually double the count of packs, don't they? And I see that's the case here. We have Cat Toad for Peach's side, and look at that. Tanuki Rosalina is now in a 45 Ruby pack. So this is the first time she's been offered at a bargain rate. Probably a sign that she's going to become more accessible soon, or perhaps the value might be starting to wind down, because boy, has her value been ever so strong. We have Satellaview in a $40 pack, as well as Chargin' Chuck, along with the Jukebox. So a couple of good recent cards there. And it looks like the Ship's Wheel is in its own pack too. So there's all kinds of packs here. Might as well just check out the challenge cards while we're at it. Still have some rubies to get on this. Wow, there's actually 30 up top, which I still haven't gotten, so that's amazing. Premium Plus challenges. So this is this is a good tour if you're looking to open up the wallet. There's a lot of opportunities there. And look at this. We have Funky Kong and Diddy Kong. So this is why Funky Kong was in the trailer then. They pretty much completely advertised this in the trailer, but did he get any added value? No. So let's check out Diddy Kong. I think I have to go to the driver list for that, right? See if they gave him any middle shelf, because they certainly wouldn't give him top shelf, no? So they haven't touched anything there. A lot of folks out there are probably going to ask me in the comments, like, is this a sign? Like, oh, this means something is going to happen. They have been doing the same thing, like around the New Year's tour, right? Like, oh, here's Dixie Kong, and it's like, it means nothing. Banana Master means nothing. So, it could be, but it could be anything else, right? So it's, if that's their lame attempt, though, to lure in, the Kong fans, look, these are some of the most loyal fans that they have. So it's not the old stuff that's going to entice them. People have the old stuff, and at very high levels. For very poor value, mind you. Look at the top shelf of Funky Kong and Diddy Kong. You're definitely not buying that pack for those characters. Anywho, let us check out now the top shelf for Ranked Week 1, which we have is the Peach Cup, and then the Bowser Cup will be Week 2, undoubtedly. So Koopa Cape. Okay, so you can earn team tokens. We know about that. So look at that. Wow, Pauline Party Time. Wow, this really takes me back to my early stages on YouTube. Intern 5 makes a return, right? Oh, I thought I lost her in Berlin. That was the very first video I did, right? It was the Berlin free-to-play feature. In which case, I had her for the middle shelf, and it's like that was on the heels of the New Year's tour for 2021. and she hasn't seen any kind of value really, but Koopa Cape, here it is. I mean, she's going to be in the special pipe, so wow. That's very favorable. And then we also have a, is this going to be Mii boosted or is this a legit buff? So this is a legit buff. This is not the Mii Cup, not Mii Cup, but the Mii Boost rather, because this is the first track. It's in the upper left frame there. And then we see the two doctors are week 1, and then we have Charge and Chuck, who's in the pack. We have Mario Golf. We have, very interesting, they give Yoshi Gold Egg a lot more paywall tracks up front than they've really given any other coin box driver, right? Because, well, it's because of the Coconut Mall R. It was the break in precedent that really did that. Otherwise, it's pretty much on point with what we would typically see. Yeah, switching things up for sure. And, you know, what that does is that makes us have to observe, you know, these new trends and, you know, project that forward, right? But also, you know, they can just keep changing things around the cycle. So, you know, that's, look, if they want to keep things fresh and new, that's all well and good. But I mean, there are a lot of fundamental things that they're doing here, because by that being in the top shelf now, think about how many players, especially paying players out there, have Yoshi Gold Egg already at level 7, perhaps level 8 for some of them. Well, then how many of them are going to be pulling on these new characters, right? So that's the paywall that we talk about, right? You know, you need to make the game, if you're trying to make it as profitable as possible, but still fair in a way, you're going to make it so that a large percentage of the players are going to have to be pulling in order to have the top shelf there. And, you know, this one is very fair, seemingly up front. So what does that mean for our ranked pairings, right? To look at things in the complete sense, right? That's like the holistic, comprehensive viewpoint. It's not just like, oh, this one's really fair, right? Well, let's take a look under the hood, right? And let's see what some of the downstream implications of that are. So we'll take a look. But Pauline, party time, very nice to see her make her return. We'll have top shelf here. A couple of the pack and pipe options are available there, as well as the Rambi Rider. This is the second buff it's gotten. It also had the Mushroom Gorge R, which is a $20 commemorative item in the Jungle Tour from 2 years ago that took place at this specific point in the calendar. And really unfortunate that's the last time that the Kongs really kind of had their heyday. Pretty hard to imagine 2 full years ago, 24 months. But we see here, there's a couple of carts that will be in those special pipes that will release on the weekend. We have the Rose Taxi as well as the gold cheap charger over there. And then some recent carts that are all clear pipe, I believe, is the Dreamy Egg and the Black Turbo Yoshi coming in good with a paywall there. But for the middle shelf, we have a couple of options here. Mostly going to be going for the base points and the cart multiplier points, which is largely going to favor that high-end zoom room there. And then here, Green Sprout, ranked buff, looking good for that. We have middle shelf here. It looks like I'm going to be going with the Dream Glider. So that's my loadout there. I have, and those 2 items are also going to be in the special pipe in the Team Bowser side with Kamek set there. So we have Pauline Party Time is top shelf, and then we have a couple of middle shelves. So not great scoring potential, but going to be respectable at least. This ranked doesn't look too small yet, but let's take a look and see what else we have going on here, right? We have Toad Circuit T, and this is very free-to-play friendly, right? This one's been around. So we have the new DK Mii Racing Suit. Does that mean it got the buff? Looks like it did, because this is in the second frame. So, and then we'd also expect to see then that the Toad's Mii Racing Suit will have buffs, but we'll take a full look at that in the Mii Hour. Interesting, we see the Mario, but not the Toad. So as I scan back there, so perhaps then the Toad's Mii Racing Suit got the other Toad Circuit variants. We do have a lot of other Toad options that actually might make the Toad fans happy. To reduce the overlap, but it's going to be overlap no matter which variant it gets. So here we go. Right now, my ideal option would be this Peachette right here, but I'm not going to invest high-end tickets into Peachette. I'd likely be looking at something like, probably just go with Peach, because look, her value isn't significant. It's pretty good for a day one super, but her whole value is going to come through these tracks, right? These are the Peach Cup potential buffing tracks that we can see. So even, we've seen her on Royal Raceway RT in ranked mode before. We've seen her. We could potentially see her on Rosalina's Ice World RT for ranked mode, as well as even Sky Garden could be a ranked buff, and that's a newer track. So her value is alive and well through that, and she's one of the main characters. So I think if I was investing super tickets into this week, it would go into Peach. So we'll go ahead and click on her there. Here, oh, we could just empty the clip with normal tickets. That's interesting, very interesting. And this one I already have powered up, actually, because this is a Daisy Hills R, I believe. Yeah, Daisy Hills R and Daisy Hills, the normal variant at level 6. So that's Diddy Kong tracks. I have no qualms at all about dumping a whole bunch of tickets into that. Could go all the way up to level 8 very easily on that one. And otherwise, we have some of these standard high-end carts. The Garrett cart has seen a lot more value as of late. The Sports Coupe, very nice looking design, but I've completely forgotten about cart. So we go with the normal there, and then a lot of options here. A lot of people are going to have the gold glider at a high level. Then we have these daily selects supers, even a normal here. But in the way of this is an interesting dilemma, because I already have this at level 7 there, and that is single capped. And then I have this at level 5, and this is single capped. So in order to catch this up, I would need 3 more to get to level 6, and then 8. So that's 11 tickets I would need to catch that up to the flower glider, which I already have 1. So technically it would be 12 tickets then to catch it up. But as we can see here, that's a lot of tickets, 16, so it would be 15. So do I want to... Here's something to note for important context as well here, is that the premium category no longer exists in the daily selects. All of those premium items are now in the standard pool selection, or the base category as it was once called, which means there's no difference between this and this. They both contribute to the same category in the daily selects, and for the vast majority of players, that's going to be irrelevant. You're not going to be able to invest enough, at least at this particular phase in the game, in order to clear out that slot and to start getting tickets. If you're a day 1 gold pass player, pay to win, certainly, you're already there. But for most other players, this is just going to be something where you're going to assess the value now more directly, and it clearly favors this glider, but that's a pretty steep investment. I would need 12 tickets to match it up, and then an additional 15. So that's 27 super glider tickets. So we'll have to see if I do go in for the Mii Coinbox Racing Suit this week, then that's going to be an interesting situation. I'll have to assess at the time, because it clearly does favor the question block. But I see the little mushroom there, so that's either in daily selects or it's tier shop. So that would actually knock the total down that I would need. Definitely favoring the question block glider on that. Now, Vanilla Lake 2, this is a fairly new track once again, and we have another super access, and it's also a double ranked feature for this thing over here, the silver Mii Racing Suit. Was that? Yes, that was the one with Koopa Cape. So getting a lot of value on the silver Mii this tour, which is interesting because as was the case, the bronze suit was seeing a lot of the ranked features when the silver suit still wasn't available, and then when the silver suit became available, that was getting a lot of the ranked features before the gold suit was available. And now that the gold suit is available, interesting to see that the silver is still carrying on there. So it's presumed that, now that the gold suit is available to players, that will kind of take over the mantle for quite some time when it involves rank buffs. Shout out to Alpha for those observations. So here we have a lot of options, a lot of winter options, some newer options. We see Dr. Luigi got the buff, White Birdo, Tanuki Rosalina. So that's where their feature is coming into this ranked mode. I'd be looking at the blue free running Koopa here, which I believe I said was considering investing into recently, but it did have a bit of Kong overlaps, and I ended up not doing that. The ranked was not a good situation for me to do that. So interesting, I'm in the same situation again. He could get the tickets if this is the week to do that, and I do have the Rambi runner. So we could put tickets on the Rambi, we could take it to level 8. Starting to get some thoughts that maybe this is potential here, and we have the candlelight flight. So this might be the week for me, you know, barring any kind of significant Kong feature in that second week, which is hard to say really. I mean, they haven't done anything with them in quite a long time now. So some of the other options that you may have available, we see some of the recent powerhouse gliders there. So that's all stuff to keep in mind, including the candlelight flight, which is a powerhouse glider in its own right. So that's week 1's ranked mode, and now let's take a look at week 2. We have the Wario Shipyard RT. This is a very new course actually. We see 2 of the recent ranked reward Mii Racing Suits. Otherwise, we see the doctors again, and a lot of the same stuff. Tanuki Rosalina is all over the place, right? So, what are the other loadouts we have here? King Boo, again, middle shelf here, and middle shelf here as well, and it's a normal middle shelf, so that's a bit rougher than having the Dream Glider. So already, this week is not looking so swell as far as ranked mode goes. We have Koopa Cape T, Gold Dry Bowser getting the buff, and here's the Mii. Actually, I don't want to take a look at the buffs yet. I'm going to save that for the Mii Hour reaction just to see how many it got. But we do know that this is a buff now because this is not a Mii boost. And yeah, so interesting there. We would go with Rosalina, and Rambi Runner is in the middle shelf. Again, a lot of these recent options all in the top shelf there. And the same thing here as well. We have the Starry Great Sale here. Let's see what's going on with this. Wow, so it picked up the R version. Wow, the Starry is just, I mean, now we're not even at the point where we're talking about Starry is better than Black Great Sale in the coverage optimizer. No, it's like now just by objective standards, this is likely taking the lead. Amazing that it keeps getting these R buffs. Very cool and nice to see. So that's the loadout there. Once again, looking pretty weak and paltry on that. And then we have a very accessible track. We have Fire Bro, we have Dry Bowser, our options here, Banana Master, a lot of Christmas themed options and red and black themed carts, as well as supers here. So we have the super, and then this is going to be a banana parafoil track. So, you know, it's a decent loadout, but on this one, I only have a powerhouse loadout potentially on this course, and this is super drivers, which is weak. But how I think I will gauge this is I will take a look at what these numbers look like, right? And at the given time, we see that it is 59K for first place, which this number has had a precipitous drop as I have not been playing in these ranked weeks. It's amazing. Just a couple weeks ago, I was getting opponents who were, you know, 95, 100K in opponents, and then it fell like 25K just last week, and then I did the same thing again. So we'll see, you know, where these things kind of top out at. I mean, the numbers are often kind of gaudy on this, but actually not. Look at that. They have missing shelf there. So interesting. And then, as is usually the case too, you see players that don't have top level abilities in terms of performing the top action counts. You know, tier 54 with these loadouts, like they could perform a lot more, you know, objectively. But you know, the ranked algorithm does pair people based on their skill and based on their recent performance. They're not looking to lock people out of the game indefinitely, and that's where you can find some of these advantageous positions that we talk about. But I'm going to go through this group more closely to see what I'm going to do, but very, very likely I'm going to go in on the week 1's ranked mode heavily compared to week 2, because it looks a lot more fertile. And you know, I can, when push comes to shove, you know, exert that skill level that's required to meet challenges greater than the loadouts can perform. So now, let's take a look at the shops, and then we'll go into the Mii Hour, right? Everybody's favorite feature. So here we go. We don't have any new feature, but we saw that the Birdo Mii Racing Suit is being offered for that discount. Now they expanded it. They have a new row. So does that mean that there's going to be some additional buffs? Because oftentimes when they're featured in the Mii shop, they're going to have buffs. We do know that the Wario is going to see buffs because of the Wario shipyards. But a lot of the other ones have Wario shipyards. So what that does for the Miis collectively, folks, it's not going to present really much new value. And that's what we have a lot of stats to talk about when it comes to that sort of thing. So here we go. Here is the pipes and whatnot. So we have one of that, two of those. So that's good. I mean, interesting here. I'm looking at these super gliders. I mean, this would take me to 26. So if I were to go with the question block glider all the way up to level 8, then that would pretty much push it to the max in terms of all of the super glider tickets. So I don't know, it's like, continuing to invest into something that no longer has a specific pathway with that flower glider. I'd still probably like to invest those into the question block. I think in the long term, I would be satisfied with that more than the other. Shop has nothing of interest, but interesting actually, maybe that's not daily selects because we have the question block there. Yeah, so it was in my daily selects. I better pick that up now just before I decide what I'm going to do in ranked mode, before I forget that it's there. So here we have this glider, which is for the same track, the mushroom glider, which is newer, not as much value there. So you can purchase the Peachette for 12,000 coins, but that wouldn't do anything for me in this specific case. I would still have to apply 2 high-end tickets, and I don't know if that's something that I personally don't see any value there really, because her courses overlap so much with DK Jr. and so many other better high-end options that are out there. Anyway, those are the shops. Let's get set. We'll wait. There's some rewards apparently that we need to claim. Okay, so purchase something in the daily selects. Sometimes that's difficult if I'm in a mindset where I'm holding out for tickets, but we're definitely not going to pass on that. These all look very standard. Tour multiplayer challenges. We have cart tickets for this week. Yeah, all right. Time for our little reset here with the Mii Hour. All right, everybody, it's time. We're going to go into the Mii Hour now, get that nice little stretch going here. And we're going to swing it over to the driver list, all the way at the bottom. All right, ready, set, go. Welcome, everyone, to the Mii Hour. The gold Mii suit is finally upon us, right? People at the very top tier in the game now have access to it. So just what is the gold Mii Racing Suit capable of? We're going to take a look at its latest buffs. We know there's a little something there already, as well as the brand new question block Mii Racing Suit, the second coin boxer that's brought into the game, and it's a ranked reward, everybody. So if you're tier 50 and above, better get ready to spend those tickets. But remember, folks, always is the case with these ranked rewards, they're going to be coming back into the Mii shop, right? There's just too much value that they need to extract from the players in that way. Particularly any paying player or even free-to-play player who's on a budget is gonna want to spend their rubies on this thing, but will the value precede itself? Will it warrant it? Well, certainly in terms of scoring capability, it will, but we're gonna take a look at the track value and compare it as such. Anyway, let's just go right into it. Start off with the red Mii suit. Now this one had 9 top shelf courses. They actually put this one in the Mii shop last tour, but they did away with it. I don't think many people fell in line with purchasing that. Hopefully not, right, folks? Certainly if you are watching the Mii Hour program, you didn't fall for that one. Anyway, we can see it's still at 9 top shelf tracks. Did not get another buff, but it did pick up a middle shelf buff. We have Koopa Troopa Beach R, so now it has 11 middle shelf tracks, still with 9 top shelf tracks. No significant additions there. Another thing to note before we go into the next set of Mii Racing Suits is that they expanded the Mii shop, right? There's now a 3rd row, so they're offering 9 Mii Racing Suits. But do keep in mind, those are all 100 Ruby exchanges except for the Birdo Mii Racing Suit, which is making its debut in the Mii shop, still being offered for that 30% discount for 70 rubies. Anywho, we go into Mario. He had 11 courses for his top shelf with this racing suit, and we can see he picked up a buff. The Toad Circuit T, which is in ranked mode for week 1's ranked cup in the Peach Cup, right? So he's now up to 12 top shelf courses. Not too bad for Mario. You know, they do take care of the mascot of the game quite well. Even if it's not in the most deliberate value kind of way, it's more profuse value, right? Spread out. But as is the case, you know, he is omnipresent within the game. So if you are collecting Mario, you're very well taken care of in Mario Kart Tour, that much is for sure. He also picked up a middle shelf, Koopa Troopa Beach there, so he's now up to 11 in the middle shelf, 12 now for the top shelf. So he's really right on par now with where Peach was last tour. So she had, we skipped ahead there. So she had 12 top shelf and 11 middle shelf last tour. Did she pick up anything? Well, we see the Koopa Troopa Beach, so that's new for her. So she's up to 13 courses now. Peach just keeps going. She's soldiering along. Very nice. Definitely one of the early winners in terms of the Mii Racing Suits. Likely in part due to her popularity, but also the heart special skill, right? There's not a whole lot that it's going to be crushing the niches out, except for other drivers of equally average special skills, in which case the extra bonus points boost from the greater base points capping with the Mii's affords her greater scoring potential there. And for the middle shelf, we see she still has 11. So no middle shelf picked up a top shelf. So she's at 13 and 11 now. All right, we saw Toad Circuit is in this one. So we know the Toad Mii Racing Suit is going ham on this tour. That much is for sure. Ham and mushrooms, right, folks? It's a 4-course meal for all the Toad fans out there. Anyway, yes, it did pick up 2 Toad Circuit courses here. We have Toad Circuit R as well as the normal version for Toad Circuit. And we already saw Toad Circuit T is in ranked mode. That was the one that Mario Suit got. That's going to be in the middle shelf down here. I spotted that in the middle shelf before. So that means that Toad Suit, 2 top shelf editions, 1 middle shelf edition. That is now 12 and 11. So really they're all converging upon that same point. You know, 14 plus courses is what we're looking at here for these suits, for the most part, except for the ones with like the really elite special skills, right? Those are seeming to be curtailed a bit. As we'll get into shortly, because DK Mii Suit is at the end of the line here. But anyway, we're going to take a look at Luigi now. He had quite a comeback, right? Because now he's at 11 and 13 courses, respectively, for top shelf and middle shelf coming into this tour. Looks like he's still at 11. So this was a freebie that was given away as a tour gift, but then they started buffing him when they put him in the Mii shop. But it looks like he's cooled off a bit. The last edition was the Daisy Hills R last tour. And here, the Donut Plains one. So once again, no additions done to the Luigi Mii Racing Suit. And this is very common. You know, we see that as the buffing favor is given to, you know, certain selections of other Mii Racing Suits, then we have these that just go completely cold, right? So the buffing trends don't match that of standard item value progression for all of the other items that we see that we get through the pipes, that we get through the packs, right? Like those have very clear, like, you know, they get the most buffs early in their lifespan and then it gradually slows down, but it transfers over to more of those paywall type of buffing favors, except in the case of the very elite skills like Coin Box, in which case then it's filled in with a selection of both non-coin box overlapping tracks as well as some coin box overlapping tracks, right? Anywho, we're gonna move on to the Rosalina now. Now she's the first ranked reward that we had, so it will be interesting to see what she's picked up, and she managed to pick up the top shelf Koopa Cape in the second week, but we already saw through looking at ranked mode there's a little bit of competition there. So if you are one of these players that's invested into a wider array of these Miis, particularly, you know, the best one of them all, then as is the case, you know, that kind of buff doesn't speak as well. And right here we see there's been no new additions. So we have top shelf 13 and middle shelf 12 for the Rosalina, doing very well for our maiden first ranked reward. And now here we get to it, the DK Mii suit. This is the one I purchased, right? It was the 900 subscriber special. Everybody wanted to see me going for the Kong suit, and I obliged. Look, you know, I've had fun racing with this in multiplayer, but I said at the time that I purchased this, I said, this is going to be no kind of a value powerhouse, but you know, we're moving into other selections of tracks now, so he, you know, maybe he picked up a buff. We in fact saw that that was the case, because it was the Toad Circuit T, which was also buffed for Mario's Mii Racing Suit. So now also picked up the Koopa Troopa Beach RT. So that means that he now has 10 top shelf courses. We're gonna give a little golf clap for DK Mii suit on that one, right, folks? He's finally made it to double figures. It took a while, didn't it? Anyway, we see here middle shelf, the Bowser's Castle 2T appears to be new here, so that's going to be 11 top shelf tracks. So that's 10 top shelf, 11 middle shelf. Now we get to the spicy ones here. We have the bronze Mii suit. It's kind of had the value precipitate out and into then, you know, the superior metallic Mii Racing Suits. Let's see if it picked up anything here. It did. Wow, quite a bit actually. The Bowser Castle 2 and the Bowser's Castle 2R. Those two courses bring it up to 14 top shelf courses of value there. Still has the 8 in the middle shelf though. So very heavy in terms of top shelf. That's relative to the other Mii Racing Suits. You know, when compared to the other ones in this line, as we'll see, we'll take a look at silver, which is very surprisingly still going strong, even with the addition of the gold Mii Racing Suit. And it's just to provide that buffer then of superiority over the bronze suit. You can see picked up the brand new paywall track Koopa Cape, which is pretty significant there. So we have 12 that are accessible all the way at level 1, and then plus the 3 additional ones. So 15 top shelf courses of values. Pretty impressive. Still has the 9 in the middle shelf then. What's also worth noting about its value is the addition of Vanilla Lake 2. So this is a double ranked feature for the Silver Mii Racing Suit. So if you're invested into the Silver Mii Racing Suit, then this is going to be one where you're going to see a lot of value return off of him in this week's Ranked Cup. Next up, we have the Gold Mii Racing Suit. This is the one. It's available now. Congratulations to all of you who achieved that mark of tier 80 last night for the Ranked Cup of week 2 in the Doctor Tour. So now that this thing's available, last tour it just breached the mark of that initial 18 to 22 track range that I was kind of putting out for these Mii Racing Suits, and we're expecting it now to continue along. We already know that it has the ranked mode track in week 2, so that's going to be a buff for it. Could even see some cream on the top to go beyond the 22, but we'll see just how far it pushed the needle in this tour now that it's real grand entrance, we'll say. So we see that it only picked up that one course. Interesting, so it has now 20 courses of top shelf value, so it's really staying restricted in that range, and that's something that I'm going to talk about at the conclusion of the Mii Hour when I give the stats in total. Is that, look, while these courses, you might say that the Miis haven't been exposed to all the courses, and that much is very true. It is very true. But there are also stats that have a way of humbling just what they can expect to see with the remaining tracks coming out based on a comparison of what they get from their initial value compared to what has occurred since that time period, right? And let's check out the middle shelf here. It still has that 10 middle shelf courses of value overall. So it's at 20 and 10. A nice little double there for our gold Mii Racing Suit. Now let's take a look at the King Boo Mii Racing Suit. What did it pick up, right? Well, let's see. We have 13 courses of value, and it picked up that one of Vanilla Lake 2, which is a ranked cup track, but it's a returning retro track. And that overlaps then with the silver Mii Racing Suit. So both have Lucky 7. And this is what I talk about when it's about like what does each of these present, right? If you're investing into the Miis, it's incredibly wasteful, okay? Incredibly wasteful. Because the amount of unique courses that they're putting out, remember the stat from the last episode, right, folks? Less than 50% of the courses that they actually possess are unique to just within that population of drivers within itself. So especially is the case, particularly punishing when it's looking at these elite special skills. We're going to take a look to see what the coin box Mii Racing Suit does in relationship to the gold Mii Racing Suit then. But we're still not there yet because we have the King Baba Mii Racing Suit. This has been a powerhouse, the best of the best in terms of the Mii shop value up until this point. But is it going to cool down? It likely will at some point, but not just yet, because it did pick up the Bowser's Castle. It's had a good release point window in terms of when it's seeing a lot of these villain-esque tracks. So now it's up to 14 courses, which is top of the mark for these other Mii Racing Suits. Middle shelf is a lot more paltry, right? Remember that correlation? You know, generally it's not 100%, right? But the fewer top shelf courses, the more middle shelf courses, and vice versa. That is not a direct correlation, it's a loose correlation. You know, there are certainly exceptions that apply there. We see that it has the 9 middle shelf courses, so it did pick up the Bowser's Castle 2T there. On to the Yoshi, which was at 9 and 7, pretty average marginal value, and now it's all the way up to 10. So it picked up the Toad Circuit R, which is good there, and it picked up 2 here. It picked up the Koopa Troopa Beach as well as the Koopa Cape R, which could have ranked implications in the future depending upon the cup and the Mii boost. Certainly Koopa Cape R is not presented in this debut ranked mode, but they often follow it up in a tour soon after, so that's something to keep an eye on. But overall the value on this Yoshi is not standing out. Birdo, on the other hand, had a massive buffing cycle in the last tour, 3 added tracks, so it's already at 12 courses and it has that smaller middle shelf 7. So let's see what they did here. Picked up the Sunset Wilds. Now it's at 13 top shelf courses, as well as a Sunset Wilds down here. So we have 8. So 13 and 8 is what we're looking at for Birdo. Still plugging along. Not surprised at all, given that it is in the Mii shop, and when they feature those Mii shop debuts, you know, they do come out heavy-handed with applying those buffs in those cases. All the way up to the Nabbit suit now. You can see it picked up the Bowser's Castle as well as the Koopa Troopa Beach R, which means that it is all the way up to 11 courses of top shelf value. What do you know? Into the double digits. Middle shelf is still at 7. So did pick up the Wario Shipyard rather. So that's +1 in regards to that. Next up, we have the Wario Mii Racing Suit. Now this thing needs a little bit of love shown to it, right? It only has double bob-ombs. It's not like Donkey Kong with the giant banana, right? We know that Wario Shipyard is in play here, so it's got to see something. But it's just the RT track for Wario RT. Interesting, and that's likely because, right, the other Wario Shipyards, the N, R, and T versions are not available, so he's going to have to wait. 5 middle shelf courses, picked up the Bowser's Castle 2 there. and it also picked up the Bowser's Castle RT, which is interesting, but that track is loaded with top skilled drivers like King Babam Gold, right? So is nice to see that the Wario picked up value, so now it's at 8 and 5, still below average for this point of its value. It'll be interesting to see when that gets made up. And here we go. This is the bright moment, right? It's a very bright suit too. Kind of reminds me of really jazzy pajamas and also the Riddler, right? From the Batman series. That's what I think of. But it's pretty fly, right? If you're going to be rolling in pajamas, make them look like this, right? Very sharp. Beautiful contrast with the black and the yellow. And it has that coin box special skill, right? So that's the all important thing. In terms of what it's starting off with, it was going to be low, right? We projected that forward before we even knew this thing existed, right? Just the mere speculation that this could be Coinbox, and then thinking, what would a Coinbox Mii suit look like in their ecosystem? It was going to have, you know, the most limited value that they had shown yet, which is the case here. In the way of overlaps, though, I mean, it's quite unique in relationship then to the gold Mii Racing Suit. We could see that the composition, of course, is here. The Koopa Capes do not overlap. And then the other ones that it's being introduced to this tour, these are ones that the gold Mii is just being exposed to for the first time this tour as well. At least is the case for the Bowser's Castle 2s. So those are new and clean, as well as the Sunset Wilds. So it's very interesting to see that they didn't really overlap those two, but that's because they want to make the players go in for it, right? Like if this started off with all overlap with the gold Mii, you would say, well, if I have the gold Mii, I don't really need this other thing. So we need to make the players, the most prominent players out there, the ones that are spending the most, want to get this as a supplement to the gold Mii Racing Suit, but that's initial value, right? Let's see what happens, because remember, this Mii Racing Suit has not been exposed, therefore, to all of the other tracks that the gold Mii Racing Suit has been up to this point. So we'll see what happens, what kind of value nerfs. And when I say the word nerfs, it's not taking away anything, but that's basically a nerf in this context is adding value to something where you didn't need the value, right? So it's empty calories to the maximum, right? And that would be the case if this thing gets overlapped a bunch with the gold Mii Racing Suit. On the flip side, you know, what it is doing is it's also reducing the niche of other coin box drivers, right? Like the Meowsers of the world, the King Babam Golds, the Kameks, the Yoshi Gold Eggs. These are ones that have, you know, a lot of meaning to a lot of folks out there. And now suddenly, because this thing's base points can go so much greater than all of the other characters that exist, even among high ends. Yeah, I mean, that's why these things have to be very closely monitored within the ecosystem. Has really been my motivation for coming on and presenting the Mii Hour, just to study this and have the greatest understanding possible. And I'm so happy to invite all of you into that observation, right? Because this is just like rapid fire. I'm seeing it for the first time here. We have 4 middle shelf values there. So this is just like the DK Mii Racing Suit starting value, just like the Wario Mii Racing Suit starting value. It's the least that we've seen, right? And you know, 6 and 4. We'll see where it goes from here. Certainly, we can expect to see this in the Mii Shop or a pipe at some point. Maybe it won't debut in the Mii Shop. Maybe it will debut in a pipe, but I think they can get the best value for it up front. It's a good progression, right? To have the ranked reward, extract any kind of value you can within forcing people to spend tickets, forcing people to spend rubies, pulling for some of these paywalled items, right? Like the new glider set or the new cart set, right? And then in addition to that, you know, restrict that to just first place. We don't know what kind of percentage of players can get there, but anyone below tier 50 does not have access to this at this moment, and then release it in the shop. And then you can get players rubies in regards to that. And we have seen in the past, because this was the case for me, when King Boo's Mii Racing Suit, I already had it on my account, they still give you the discount. So the discount is for the first time it's in the shop, not the first time you're obtaining it. So if you get it in the ranked reward, you can still purchase a second one for 70 rubies if you deem that necessary. But then keep in mind, folks, that's not exclusive value anymore. So that's just like a bargain to the 100 rubies that you would have for the general follow-up, right, to take it to the second level. But still, if we look at, you know, 70 rubies in conversion factors with, you know, how you would spend your rubies in other situations throughout the pipes, right? That's 400 coins per ruby. And that's then what, 28,000 coins of value for essentially a level up ticket. So that's still greater than 2x of what you would expect to see there, even with the discount. And you might say, well, it's worth it because I'm really strapped on tickets. Well, that's at the point when your ecosystem is greatly favoring what the developers want to get out of their players, right? And I always want to present that context to players out there. When you're seeing things through a different lens in the game, it's important to keep in mind that, like, if you are seeing something that's different, think about the reason for why that is, and not just the reason for why that is, but what the motivation is on behalf of the developers, and then understanding what that's doing from a resource standpoint and the real world currency that has to back that, right? And if that's a move that you're comfortable making or not. And as long as you're aware of that, then, you know, our job here is successful, right? It's not about telling people how to play. It's educating you on how all of these forces interact with one another and translate into a very real concept that's really important in order to make the best choice available for each of us. And that's what it's really all about at the end of the day. You know, we're all here to have fun, and we have different definitions of fun. And, you know, for some folks out there, that might be investing into these Mii Racing Suits, but I have the latest stats for you, along with greater context. So let's just dive right into that right now. And wanted to do a little bit of a comparative analysis then between these Miis, the coin box drivers, and just all the drivers, right? Whether they be from any class, but specifically high ends of just any skill, right? Average skills, and what your investments do. And what this is this is a very clear inverse relationship between scoring and optimization. Because if we take a look at a population of all the drivers with a driver combination size of 15, which is the current number, before the question block Mii Racing Suit had released, right? So I ran these stats before the latest stats are available, since this is just the first time that we're seeing the tour now. So this is as of the Dr. Tour, a driver population of 15 for all skills can have 96% of all the courses in Mario Kart Tour for assumed value. That's 189 out of the 197 that were available right before Koopa Cape, right? For Coinbox drivers then, all 15 of them, that drop. So this also includes the gold Mii Racing Suit though too, I do want to say, to 147 out of the 197 assumed value courses, and that is exactly 75% of the courses assumed value you can cover with Coinbox, right? So if you are investing into the Coinbox, that means you need to find the remaining 25% of coverage with which to provide the optimal needs for your account. And then we get to the Miis, right? What do the Miis, because the Miis can score beyond that of Coinbox, right? Even just a standard Mii, right? In the context of like Rainbow Road, you know, if you get like a triple coin frenzy with a Mii Racing Suit, that's going to hit the soft cap, right? It's going to go beyond the soft cap of 200 actions, and therefore, you know, have that greater scoring potential, right? And we can see that the restrictions are very large. There's only 47% of the courses, 92 out of 197. Now, I've had some folks in the comments say, well, the Miis have not been exposed to all of the courses as have all the other drivers and all the Coinbox drivers, with the exception of the most recent ones, right? So, that is true, and I have the stats for that. Well, they've only been exposed up until the last tour to 106 of the 197 assumed value courses. So then you might say that's 92 courses out of the 106. That's incredible. That's 86%, Kevin. See, I told you so. I told you so. I'll pump the brakes though, because this is where the humbling stat comes in, right? 33 of those courses were available upon debut, right? That is in the Mii Tour, okay? And of just those 33 courses of the 106 that they were exposed to, they had, upon debut, greater than 50% of their value, right, folks? Because we saw the gold Mii Racing Suit is just at 20 courses now. So it hasn't picked up greater than 50% of its value since its initial debut. You know, we look at DK Mii Racing Suit, right? 6 starting courses of value. It's only at 10. So it had 60% of its starting value initially, compared to standard item value progression, in which case we see that items have only about 30% of their fully realized value upon debut, nearly double that for the Miis, okay? So what can we expect to find then in the following 94 courses of assumed value coverage then that they're going to be exposed to? Well, they're going to pick up less than 50% of their value. That much is for sure, and now they're even more fully realized than they were at an earlier point, and it's diminished returns all the way along. So the point being that they're not going to end up covering 86% of the assumed value courses, pound per pound, that is. And we know through the data mining, now the data mining isn't 100% accurate, right? Because these assets can be swapped in and changed. But it was initially data mined that there were 24 Mii Racing Suits. So, you know, might they get to some large percentage with all 24 of them? Well, certainly, because then if we expand to 24 drivers for any kind, that's going to be 100% coverage, right? I mean, it is already practically 100% coverage at 15. And then when we look at Coinbox, certainly there's not even 24 of them in the game, but they could potentially get to nearly that if there were 24 Coinbox drivers, right? Because each new one has to have some kind of an exclusive track that the other ones don't have. That's how they've been able to sell these things moving forward. And that's been something that everyone has kind of observed up until this point. So what this is, as I had already stated, it's an inverse relationship, right, between scoring and optimization. So if you do want to invest into the Miis, that's fine. I've never told anyone don't invest into the Miis. I've made suggestion not to, with seeing how poor of a return on investment that you're getting for all of your tickets, right? Because if we were to multiply the amount of tickets that need to be invested in order to get this limited selection of tracks for the Miis, and then calculate the amount of coins difference that it requires to obtain those tickets, I mean, that's impossible for free to play for gold pass only. That's like the bluest of blue whales that would be able to do that. And I don't even think that anyone out there is actually powering up all of the Miis to like level 6, 7, and 8, right? I think they're looking more strategically at this, as they should, opportunistically, like, okay, this one specifically, not just based on skill, but the skill definitely does factor as well, because we see that the King Boo Mii Racing Suit overlaps with the silver Mii Racing Suit, but it's like the silver Mii Racing Suit is presenting more value there, you know? But perhaps in the complete texture of your previous investments, that might be a different one, right? So it's like pinpointing very specific things, and that's where things will progress moving forward. You know, I think with this episode, this is kind of like the culmination, right? This is where, you know, I put all the stats together, and there's still more stats I have to give too. This is further supporting that inverse power relationship. Again, as of the Dr. Tour, it's difficult to compare the stats of such a large sample size of drivers because it's diminished returns, right? With each new driver that we put into the combination, especially is the case, it's disadvantageous rather to put that on the drivers of any skill type, because the few so many already cover the vast majority of tracks, right? So just let's roll it back then to combos, right? just a combo of drivers, 2 drivers, then what can we get? And this will once again validate that inverse relationship in that Peach Explorer and Penguin Mario are the optimal pair. They have 54 assumed value courses that they offer with just those 2 drivers, okay? For coin box drivers then, that's with Mii Hour and Dry Bones Gold. That's 42, so 12 fewer tracks, okay? And then if we look at the Miis, that's the silver and the gold Mii, and as of the Doctor Tour, that was all the way down to 29, okay? That's the best you can do with the Miis. It's almost half of the value of course coverage overall to that of just standard drivers with powerhouse kind of coverage to invest into your account. So certainly, then if you convert that into score based on tickets spent, okay, like, yeah, wow, you know, the Miis can get like 10% more score on the tracks that they have, but then it's literally a goose egg, it's a donut on the tracks that they don't have coverage for. So what's that 10% on 29 courses when it's literally 100% drop off on the other ones? Okay, folks, so look at the waste and where it's going, really? Think about it. Anyway, so where the Mii Hour will go in the future, I think we're going to look more into some specifics into how you can use some of these within inventory optimization, because certainly is the case. Some folks out there really do want to invest into certain Miis, particularly the case for the gold Mii Racing Suit, isn't that right? So anywho, that was a massive Mii Hour. Now it's time to go into today's challenge, everybody. Does that sound good with you all? Please share your support with the channel. All of the time that goes into crunching the data and providing that all-important perspective into how the different pathways for using your resources and gearing your account can affect your ultimate outcome. Please do subscribe to the channel, leave a like on this video. I mean, just comment, let me know what you think about everything and where you're at in your own game. Love to hear all of the various different approaches for things. So here we go. We have the Birdo Mii Racing Suit. Boy, we had a really good today's challenge pipe to start off last tour, didn't we? And then also we had the token shop pipe, which was just incredible. So we've had a lot of good luck on some of these free pipes as of late. We'll have to see if it continues here today. So I'm going to take the little cut through here. Very good. Picked up a team token on that. That was nice to see. All right. Slipped into first place with that little cut. Very nice. Hard to hit both of those tokens with the small hitbox of the apple cart, which is why I love this cart so much in multiplayer. Ooh, I was not paying attention there. I should have saw that all 3 of those were team tokens. So token shop pipe should be a lot easier to clear this tour, in addition not just to having the team tokens so that you can use, you know, coin box drivers in order to get your tokens, but also the score at the end of the race we'll see will be added into that token total, and that's significant, right? So that way if you're in a situation then where you didn't pick up many on the course, well, if you scored like 30k, 40k, whatever it may be, even if it's just 10k, that makes a difference, right? That's 10 tokens right there. So, you know, we can see right there, picked up 34 with just 1 course, which is fantastic. Anyway, let's go in today's challenge pipe. I didn't take a look at the total, so we're going to be totally surprised at what this is. Will the good luck continue? Pipe buggy, so that's 250 coins. Okay, not so swell, but hey, it's a resource pull. So I always say I never complain about a resource pull. Let's check out Koopa Cape then. Let's get the reaction on Koopa Cape. Can these retro courses that are being brought in continue to leave us in awe, right? So we're gonna go with the PGP on this one. I'm gonna try it out with the Zoom Room. Hopefully Won't be too punishing in the way of collecting coins from coin boxes. Although I won't be picking up tokens, interesting, because she's on Team Peach. So I'm just going to be, this is the one downside, of course, of the token shop, I suppose, in a rally tour here, because there will be no tokens obtained, right? But that's also the benefit then, if you don't care about the tokens and you're just going for ACR, well then you're going to have the maximum number of red coins if you have Coinbox Plus. Interesting, the half pipe definitely left me in a bizarre situation there, so early review on that isn't so hot. But hey, there's still time to recover from that. Yeah, I don't know if oddities like that existed in the initial version of Koopa Cape or not, but this is really cool here. You know, this is very unique to what we normally see. We have a half pipe in the tube, so that's cool. Oh, it's not even a tube, right? We can totally go airborne there and breach. So use the lightning there. Gonna make a little comeback. Coin box frenzy. Could we have a little run clicking? Well, we'd have to come in first place, and I really wasn't paying attention to combo in that first lap. So that was a pretty nice frenzy though. We're in third place. Pick up another single box. So we're going to try to do this along the side wall here. Not quite successful at that, and the zoom room is partially to blame. So here we go. We're going to have to make a little bit of a run for it if we're going to. Well, we dropped combo there, so that's a little bit punishing. I think it might be hard for us to finish in first place. And wow, we got hit by the bob-omb in mid-air as we were going into the tube here. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. So I guess this isn't going to be a run, so to speak, because it looks like we're going to finish pretty low down. But Coinbox Frenzy and a few single boxes definitely put us in position here to at least get a respectable score. Wow, not so much even. Wow, 11K. I was underestimating just how little we get for fourth place. So this is going to be one where I'm going to want to clear out the badge bots to get maximum efficacy off of all of those single boxes. But we do get all the grand stars there. So if we did somehow want to underbake this week, well, we could still. But I think this is probably the week to go in on things. Even if that doesn't result in the ranked reward, then so be it. Look, I'm not going to chase the FOMO of it. That's not how I choose to play, and that's all each of our own prerogatives, right? And there's no judgment along the way. This is just a game, folks. Even to somebody like me who presents this information for the community's benefit, right? Like, I don't feel the pressure to have to perform to some standard that somebody in the audience might be projecting onto me. It's like, no. We determine that all for each of ourselves. I present that much respect to you, and whether or not that wants to be reciprocated, I just pay no mind to it if it's not. So that's the bottom line for things there. Anyway, how many more grand stars do we need for this? So just the 4. What I'm going to do, wow, actually that's lower than usual, is it not? Because I only picked up 10 stars. I'm going to use the star tickets here because the free-to-play gifts, you always need 4 for the top thing there. And I think this has already been a very detailed episode, so we'll just leave things there, and I'll do the first free fire on this pipe with all of you now. So I love that they added the star tickets there. No need to manipulate it through the tour gifts. Let's go, let's manifest something good here. I have a green pipe, but anything of value would be nice here. Which we can't really say, but he's kind of themed to Koopa Cape, so we'll take him. Anyway, if you all enjoyed this episode and found it insightful, let me know in what ways that you did in the comments below. Drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I love going over this data and being able to extend that conversation out, extend the awareness of everything that does present us in Mario Kart Tour. It's such a wonderfully deep game. It's a lot of fun to analyze, and so great to interact with all of you in that regard. So wish you the best in this tour. Let me know which team you're choosing, who you think is going to win this rally, and We'll be bringing out the special pipe analysis on the weekend, so along with the coverage optimizer will be made available. So a lot of great things to look forward to there. Take care, everybody, and have a wonderful tour.